Hi, and welcome to our presentation today at Business to Community, where we'll present magnetic content. Transform your website into a customer attraction force field. I thank you for being here. Let me tell you just a bit about myself. I'm Barry Feldman. My company is called Feldman Creative. I've been in advertising and marketing for a very long time and running Feldman Creative for most of that time. My experience dates back to before the internet and then the You've Got Mail era of the internet when AOL prevailed. And so I've seen the web grow up. I've seen how it's changed customers' behaviors, and in turn I've seen how brands and marketers promote and sell and market their products and services, or at least in some cases how they should or how they shouldn't. So today, the hub of your marketing absolutely has to be your website. And the key to making your website work and making it magnetic and attracting prospects to it is turning on the power of content marketing. So that's the plan. Today we're going to look at how to forge a powerful content marketing plan, a force field, if you will, to attract customers. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you do it, and we'll cover why, of course. And I won't be able to answer your questions. This is a pre-recorded presentation, but I'll invite you to come to my website and ask any questions you'd like, and I promise to answer them. If you're new to content marketing, we should begin with a definition. There are quite a few. I've seen longer and more detailed ones, but they don't do it for me. I think content marketing is really about delivering stuff. I didn't use the word stuff here, and so you'll see the words that I did choose to use. But stuff can be a variety of things. You generally think of articles, but it could be photos and videos and applications or apps and audio and of course written communications. But something to understand about content marketing as it differs from traditional advertising is content marketing is soft sell, and in fact more often than not it's no sell. It's marketing where you actually ditch the pitch and you aim to provide what people are looking for. And in most cases that's information. It's often entertainment. YouTube comes to mind for that. And that's it. There isn't really that many other things that content marketing can be. It's going to be valuable to somebody based on what they value. So what's the point? The point of content marketing, though you're giving away information usually for free, is not to become a non-profit or a charity. The point is to market, and so the point is to sell. And in a world gone electronic, the point is to generate traffic, leads, and sales to your website. Now, electronic or not, I suppose the plan of advertising was always to achieve these things, but content marketing achieves really what advertising strives for and fails to accomplish, and that is content marketing allows you to get people to know, like, and trust you. Now, trust is something you have to earn. It doesn't come easy, and it's no easy feat to get it. Here's the beginning of a strategy of how you're going to work on accomplishing trust. People have questions. They have problems. They face challenges in their business lives. And they're going to go searching for the answers. You'll never guess where that might be. Of course, that will be on a little blank field with the page called Google or some variation thereof, a search engine. This is where they're going to go. And whether they use a question mark or not, in my mind, as an online marketer, you have a question. You're going to put it in that field. It might be one word, it might be a sentence, it might be something common, it might be something freaky. You're looking for something. Essentially, it's a question. You want answers. Your customers do too. They're seeking information. They're seeking knowledge and wisdom. Do you have some? The idea is, I hope the answer is yes, and the idea is to position your company as an advisor and a friend. And so you have to give up this information, and you're going to become a teacher, not a preacher. You're going to become the media. You'll often hear in content marketing you have to think like a publisher. And if you think a publisher thinks beyond just print, I like that axiom. So as you become a media, instead of buying media or renting media, as you often might have done in the past, or maybe continue to do now with mailing lists or commercial time or space, you're going to become the media. Your website is the attraction force field that we're going to build, and so you have to have a lot to say. You're going to become a publisher, a journalist, call it what you will. I don't have time to give a full-on publishing lesson here, but we are going to get into some steps, a formula, if you will, for how to do just this, to become the media and understand how things have changed. You will be publishing, so never mind billboards, never mind that highway that you see billboards on. Everyone that we care about is traveling essentially on the same highway. Are you going to make me tell you what that is? It's the information highway. So, on the information highway or on the internet, you're going to become a media source. It sounds daunting, and it is a lot of hard work, but I promise you it's not a mystery. Here's how you do it. You build authority. So let's be clear, that's your goal. Again, it's not to pitch products, it's to become an authority in your field, in your niche. The more specific your niche can be, the better. It's going to serve your search purposes, and it's going to help you rise in the ranks and establish the authority you're looking for faster. When people perceive you to be the expert of experts in your niche, they're going to want your product when they have a need. And rather than pitching it to them, you're going to find with an effective content marketing plan in place, you're going to see your conversion rates go up, and you're going to do a lot less selling and a lot more converting. Let's begin by talking about what not to do. So we've hinted at this, or I've hinted at this, and this is how you burn money. You interrupt people with stuff they don't want. And we all know that we are in control now. We have TiVos, we have spam filters. We largely throw out our heaps of mail we get. So as a responsible, effective online content marketer, we want to stop interrupting people. These are some examples of things that don't fly all that well. You'll want to stop advertising. I say that with some regret, being an advertiser at heart. I don't mean stop advertising, but you'll want to stop relying solely on advertising as your marketing strategy unless you have oodles of money to burn. You'll want to stop talking to yourself, and the way people talk to themselves or insiders in their industry is with big jargon words and BS that really doesn't turn people on, and you really have to hold a mirror up to what you write and say and publish, and establish that it speaks to any man, or at least it speaks, to the hearts and minds of the people you're targeting. So lay off the jargon. You're going to want to stand out. This lesson really applies to any communications. You're going to want to stop being dull, and you don't want to repeat yourself, say the same thing over and over, much like you probably would in advertising or a direct response medium of some sort. You'll want to stop stealing, or you should never start stealing, but that's certainly not a good strategy, so stop it if you're doing it, and stop following the crowd, and stop sounding stuffy. Content marketing is a battle, just as all media is, for cutting through the clutter. So you're only shooting yourself in the foot if you think and act like a stuffed shirt because you think that's your audience. My audience is, such and such attorneys or such and such physicians, and they're not people. That's nonsense. So, you're familiar with the abbreviations B2B and B2C. I say, who cares? Online, you're having a one-on-one experience, generally speaking, to a person. So let's drop the abbreviations and settle for P2P, person to person. And so we're going to be non-stuffy. And here's what we're going to start doing. We've talked about this in talking about becoming a media or a publisher. You're going to start being the expert prospects rely on. So I'm giving you the go. Here's some of the things I'm giving you the go to do. You will aim to deliver, first and foremost, the help, the advice, and the answer your prospects want. You'll tell stories. You're the media, remember that. So storytelling, you'll see that word come up all across your your research online when you're learning about how marketing works these days. You're building stories, whether it's about your customers or your brand or even the market at large. You're going to succeed by turning people on with what entertains them, and that is stories. A tactic for doing that, as you develop a command for storytelling, is you'll aim to make your content increasingly personalized and customized. The more you're able to do that and understand who they are and where they are in the buying process, the more success you'll have with your content and moving a person through the milestones or the touch points that ultimately lead to a sale, or even beyond that, a brand ambassador. So in keeping with the no dull stuff, you're going to want to be fun, provocative, challenging, maybe funny, maybe shocking, whatever it takes to stand out. In my writing, I'm often sort of prickly and abrasive, and I find that fun and provocative. It's not for everybody, but I like to say when you turn some people off, you turn some people on. I'm going to give you the go to be objective. Of course, your opinion is going to enter into things, but as a publisher or a media man or woman, you're going to want to report the facts and be objective. And now we get into easy to find, easy to share. We're talking about search and social here. You'll want to learn the ins and outs of search and use the tools and techniques to make your content easy to find. That's a different presentation, and I'm sure you're interested in learning more about search. And then this last point is social. You'll want to use the tools and techniques in the social media realm, which are many and forever growing. And you'll want your content to be seen and experienced by as many people as possible that will find value in it. And so social media is going to be key to that and making your content magnetic. So I promised you we'd talk about how to become magnetic, how to create a customer attraction force field, and let's look at that now. I've read many books, countless articles on this topic. I go to webinars almost daily, at least weekly. I go to real conferences, and this is the topic of all of them, really distilled down into a 45-minute presentation. So let's look at a formula. I've made it 7 steps. I didn't make the stuff up, but because of my simplification of it, I feel it's the Feldman formula, or my formula for transforming your website into a customer attraction force field. So here we go. Perhaps they're not linear, but I've put them in a sequence of 1 through 7. So first, you'll determine what action you want your customers to take. So as many a wise man has said, you'll begin with the end in mind. And the end is what you want to accomplish. We'll call that your objective or objectives. They need to support your business growth and align with your strategy for achieving it. Do you want to sell off the page? That's an objective, obviously for an e-commerce company. Do you want to capture emails? That's probably the most common objective for business-to-business companies where there's longer sales cycles involved. You want to generate traffic. That's a pretty broad one, but in most cases, yes. Or the answer would be yes. Do you want to build authority? Do you want to connect with influencers? Those are just some examples, but common examples of your objective, because you understand, you define, you write down and document what you want to accomplish. I don't know what your objectives are, but until you know what your objectives are, you're not ready to begin a content marketing program. Secondly, you'll want to determine what your buyers need to know. To do this, you gotta shut up, or shush up, as it says here. Who's your target market? What types of buyers are they? Are there various types of buyers? Probably. What do they want to know? What troubles them? What keeps them up at night? What are their goals and ambitions? This is critical to building your story, because you're going to solve their problems. So you have to know this, and to know it, you have to listen. You'll maybe be making a mistake by assuming you know it unless you've already put in the work. Listening online is a webinar and then some. And really, it's a book or an encyclopedia unto itself. So we won't get into that how lesson today. But I do want to talk about the idea of listening, and listening closely is something that is easily accomplished online, and it's not optional. You absolutely have to understand your customers' problems, and so you'll do that with social media, and perhaps some interviews and perhaps some stuff we can get into at a different time. Part 3 of our 7-piece program here is to create a content plan. You're going to want to create stuff people want and deliver it where they want. The question here about how they consume media has to be answered, and there's probably a more complicated answer than you've known in the past. And you're going to want to make this appeal, which is based on teaching, not preaching, whether they're ready to spend or not. So you'll want to go through these steps, create the content you've learned that your prospects want by listening, and deliver it where they are, and then recognize that this is seldom singular. Different strokes, different folks, different timing, different products perhaps and brands, and so your content plan might be plural. Fourth, you're going to want to put a team together. And this is no place to scrimp. I say here, put your money where your media is. You want your team to be capable, okay? You don't become a media and a publisher and not hire talent. And so you're either going to hire it or develop it. So I've used the word team for a reason, because it shouldn't be one person. Even in a one-person company, it shouldn't be one person, because it's too taxing. It'll consume your life, and hopefully it's working and you're bringing in business and you have work to do. So you don't want to burn out that solopreneur, if you happen to be one, and spend all day, every day on content marketing. So you'll want to use your partners, maybe use your customers, bring in some freelancers. At my site, you'll find a lot of my cronies and peers, some I know, some I don't, posting guest blogs. And that's with permission. I read something I like. I ask them if I can republish it. Sometimes I ask them if I can edit it. And it takes the burden off of me to be not less prolific, but spending less time creating everything myself. And so consider partners and customers, even reporters, guests, and any influencer you can find, or anybody you think will be influential. Fifth, this is sort of the technical part of the process. You'll want to get your digital ducks in a row. And I didn't want to get into this a lot. You'll at least come across the term CRM. Not CRM, sorry, CMS, Content Management System. And so WordPress is the best example of that, or at least the most popular example of that, and that's a digital platform. So this is a seriously important part of taking advantage of strategies to create powerful content marketing plans, because it has to be easy. There was a day when updating your website wasn't easy, and it wasn't cheap, and it wasn't fast, and so you didn't do it. Now, thanks to WordPress and the many systems that are similar to it, CMS systems, it is easy, it is fast, it is inexpensive, and it doesn't take coding experience, HTML and the like, to update your website. So you want to get your digital ducks in a row at the very least as a content management system. And you're going to learn more about and hear more about marketing automation software, email service providers. Some of these are software-based solutions, some of them are software as a service based. There's a lot of digital ducks to get in a row. You'll want to learn what the basics are, invest the time up front into learning them, as opposed to torturing yourself over the long haul with pecking around and making mistakes. And you'll want to find simple solutions. You don't want to have to read through manuals and pick up the phone or hire out more often than you can afford to or want to. And so, strategy 5, get them ducks in a row. Strategy 6 brings us to social media. You need to promote what you publish. Now, this doesn't have to be social media, but, well, it doesn't have to be exclusively social media. It has to include social media. And so, again, a subject far bigger than we can handle in a slide in itself. But as part of our 7-part formula, I'm telling you, use social media, get better at it if you're already into it, or if it's new to you, your social media education starts tomorrow or tonight, but get going. This is a big one. Social media is not only the way to promote your content or market your content, you might say. It's the most important way to do that. It's imperative your plan includes social media, the list keeps growing longer of social media. I think you can say, each year 2 or 3 sort of rise, and that trend might continue. You'll recognize some of the little logos here and the chicklets down at the bottom of my slide. Don't presume just because a billion people are on Facebook that your social media life as it relates to marketing begins with Facebook. It might, but it might not. And so don't assume that. I don't think it's the right place to start for a lot of companies, certainly not for my company. And so a lot of you are in B2B markets. LinkedIn's probably going to come first. Twitter might be up there. There are starting to be a series of vertical oriented social media. I'm saying just take a step back and look at the big picture of social media, and take it a little at a time, because they change, and sometimes they're difficult, and they're certainly time consuming. But the list is long, and they would include blogging sites and bookmarking sites and question and answer sites. You could make a case that using email has a social element to it. Curation platforms are all over the place, so they help your content marketing cause. Try not to get overwhelmed. Start smart. Pick a social media or 2, learn it, progress, and expand as you go. And finally, the 7th part of the Feldman Magic 7 formula for making your website a customer attraction force field is to measure. You have to know what is and isn't working, and you have to know the truth about that. You've probably heard, you must have heard, you can't manage what you don't measure. It's true. It's repeated often because it's true. And it's easy to measure stuff in online marketing. It's inherently measurable, more so than really any medium we've ever known. And it's testable and comparable and analyzable, and most importantly, refinable. So you're going to learn to kill stuff that lets you down and doesn't achieve your objectives, and you're going to learn to turn up the volume on the stuff that does. And there'll be some middle ground where you'll want to make some refinements to existing content and give it another try. The tool here that's the most obvious, because it's free and everywhere, is Google Analytics. Your education in measurement, metrics, analytics should begin with Google Analytics. Easy enough to do by finding online resources and putting a little bit of code in place. You might ask for some help from your web guy or gal. And then establish some KPIs, I guess they're called, key performance indicators. Again, there's lots of them. Traffic, leads, sales would rank highest. Perhaps there'll be a measure of cost per leads in there, and some things that are specific to your business. But Google Analytics is only your starting place because it's so easily accessible and free. But there's lots of them out there, and there are platforms like HubSpot that HubSpot itself is an all-in-one software package that would include your CRM and email, but also your analytics. So there's something to consider there if you're getting into it really seriously. At my website, I use a product called Optify, and I'm fond of it, and it gives me all kinds of insights and simplified dashboards that help me continue to measure and refine my content marketing program. And that's really how you make it pay. So there you go, steps 1 through 7. So now I'm going to conclude with a few slides here about the thing that I'm really the most expert in because of my copywriting background and creative director background, is the creation of content. And so in getting magnetic, the fun part, at least for creative people, is to get into the content creation process. So I want to share with you a little crash course here in how to do that. So some of this stuff sort of takes us back to the beginning of some of the comments I've made, but reminders here to know who you're talking to and target explicitly from your niche. They sometimes refer to it as the sweet spot, where your area of expertise overlaps with the market's needs. So to do that and to target effectively, you have to know who your customer is, and again, you do that by listening online and doing research. You have to establish personas, big words that not everybody understands and often fail to even address because of it sounding complicated. But a persona is basically taking demographic information, psychographic information, such as, psychographically would be what they think and who they follow and what influences them, personality traits, and demographic information would be gender and age and perhaps geography. And establishing a persona would be taking that to the extreme and giving that person a name. So let's say you have 3 different main types of customers. You would describe them. You might even name them, and you'd get into that in a paragraph. It might be as many as 10 sentences, maybe less. That makes it so that they're a real person, at least in your mind, and you're going to target them by knowing exactly who you're talking to, and that's how you create relevance. Ultimately, you're coming across this question, or this acronym, I would think, WIIFM. What's in it for me? And so if you return to this slide and know your customer, establish the persona of that customer, and conceive ways to deliver relevant information, you're going to answer their question, what's in it for me? Now this slide here is a consolidation of an entire slideshow that I'll offer you. I don't get into it today. I basically took a slideshow and made it a slide. And it is suggestions for creating content. And the title of that slideshow is 21 Ways to Attract Customers with Magnetic Content. And I have 21 categories and then multiple examples within each category. So I could have given that 21 thing a much larger number, because there's probably 80 to 100 ideas in that show. So before I say goodbye today, I'll give you the URL for where all my presentations are on SlideShare, and you'll see that. But this slide's sweet and hopefully helpful slide when you're shopping for ideas, and you'll see there on the top line how-tos, tips, shortcuts, secrets. Those are kind of different variations of the same thing, but you might twist and turn your stuff, often what's referred to as repurposing, for different media and in different places, and even different revisions of a same story. You might update a story and turn it from shortcuts to secrets, or the other way around. So this is sort of just like a little grab bag of ideas, and again, I'll offer you the slideshow there to help you get started. You might think of them primarily as blog ideas or the titles, but ultimately they'll parlay easily into any form of content, or most forms of content, which of course would include ebooks and interviews, maybe podcasts, maybe videos. All right, and so in this creation process and distribution process, you're going to want to connect the dots, and I mean that very literally. I mean the .coms. So use a mix of media for more touch points, and so we've touched on this. Consider video and audio and slides and infographics and so forth. The list continues to expand, but you'll want to take your message to different media, because different people consume media differently. For instance, the commuter. That commuter might, if he's not reading the paper, he or she might be listening to their iPhone or iPod, and so they might spend an hour a day taking in podcasts, and some other customer might not even know what a podcast is. So you'll want to take the same message and repurpose it across media, and I call that connecting the dots. You'll want to mix up and multiply your touch points, and consider your blog sort of the cornerstone or home base. You'll want to stay on topic, so your content marketing strategies will have themes. They might evolve, but they are always going to sort of lead back to the big picture, which is based on your objective. You'll want to integrate this stuff, cross-promote it, repurpose it, we talked about. And then, of course, use the power of the web, which is link-based, to bring everybody and everything, every interested prospect back to your website or blog. So while you'll be creating content that's shared around the web, you'll want to facilitate the process by pointing them back to your website. Here you go. Wrapping it up here, I want to add one more don't do to the list of the do and don't list. Don't do. Say that 5 times fast. It's tempting and it's easy to steal and pillage and create crap. and most communications really is. Most people don't take this advice. Use professionals. Be provocative. Figure out how to zag when everybody's zigging. And stay away from this stuff unless you're trying to attract flies. As I wrap it up, I came up with my own little acronym, .com, each being an abbreviation. I think C can stand for compelling, O for original, and M for memorable. So when I pick up a pen, and I happen to have a box of these ones that have my logo on it, I try to remind myself to do that, and when I'm done writing, I ask myself, did I do that? This is what it takes to get noticed, to get shared, and to go viral. And if you're going to attract traffic, generate leads, close sales, our objectives, remember, it's going to begin with you being interesting, not just informative, but interesting. For example, throw out a fast example here. I've written hundreds of articles in the last couple of years, but one comes to mind. I called the story, "Are You an Egghead on Twitter?" It trended all that day, and actually it was #1 for a couple hours on Twitter. And that's because it had a sense of humor. What I was speaking to was when you get on Twitter and you don't put a picture in your profile picture, it just sticks an egg in there. So I call those eggheads. I'm probably not the first to ever think of that. I could have easily called that post, something like "Optimize Your Twitter Profile." But how boring is that? I wrote a post about optimizing your Twitter profile, but I titled it, "Are You an Egghead on Twitter?" and it went viral in the biggest way. So you might borrow my .com acronym here and remind yourself to make your content compelling, original, and memorable. So that's what I have for you today. I want to thank you for being with me. I offer here my email. Feel free to use it if you want to ask me questions. The website that you can go to find me and the content I produce is feldmancreative.com. Not sure you can click here on a webinar, but there is a contact form and a link here if you should get your hands on this slideshow. My phone number is there for you, and I promised you I'd share those slides that I created for that other slideshow with ways to create content. And so let me tell you my URL that you'll find me at on SlideShare. I have a lot of content abbreviated in presentation format, and I think you'll find some good resources if you track me down on SlideShare. So that's SlideShare, one word, .net/Barry J. Feldman. Okay, so thank you for listening to me. I hope you learned something. I hope you took away something that helps you transform your website into a customer attraction force field, no matter where you are in the process. And I encourage you to continue studying, reading, attending webinars on the subject, and looking up people that are happy to help you, such as myself. So that'll be all for today, and good luck.